Hello, can everyone hear me? Good, good. I hope everyone's doing okay. Looks like a really nice day outside. I haven't been out yet today. Um, but I just wanted to go through the announcements and things, get everyone ready so that you can do some more work in background. Um, and then we'll be back at 3:45 to go through progress on the fruit plate and montage or anything else that you might have a question over. Let me go through and let's get this up here. Okay, can everyone see my Talon screen? Okay, thank you. All right, so um, as usual, we're just going to go through this, and then I have another special comment to make about a grade on an assignment that changed. Some of you have noticed, and so I just want to address that as well. So I think it was a week ago, maybe I mentioned a Peter Jackson movie. It was not the right title, but this movie, They Shall Not Grow Old. If you have a chance to, especially watch it and watch the after segment where he goes into much more detail, it's really interesting to hear him talk about the technical things that were done, and from students and designers like us, it's really it hits home in some areas. It's really cool. The assignments, keep working on anything old that you have. And like I said, today's gonna be mostly a lab day with some reviews. And then I want you to please, every Tuesday, Thursday, to post your progress on these so I can give you points for those. So if you haven't made significant progress, that's fine not to post. But if you have, I'd like to see that. I want to reward you for the effort you've been able to make. Um, and then also, I know I'm going to be talking to some of you about some sort of special accommodations potentially near the end of the semester, and that's fine. I want to help you as much as I can at Kirkwood so that we can help you navigate whatever comes next in this crazy world. But I do want to see your progress so I can see how you're doing. Primarily, we're going to focus on the fruit plate, which will be due before class on Tuesday instead of today, in case you didn't get that memo. And so we're going to come in similar to this. I'll go through announcements, assuming the internet works okay. I'm going to have all of you have your fruit plate project loaded on the screen ready to share. And then one by one, you will present your fruit plate to us and just talk about a couple things that you thought were interesting, challenging, just the usual sort of thinking questions that I want you to be very good at for your professional life or your next class. So it shouldn't be too onerous. It should be fairly easy. It's what we've been doing. It's just that you're going to kind of be taking charge of the conversation, and I'll chime in and move us along. And that's most of what I'm anticipating that we'll do on Tuesday. And it's looking like my schedule for next week, I will be out on Thursday. So I'm still talking to Dan and David Branstetter, and you'll probably just work on your own. We won't have an actual class, is my guess. But I'll still expect you to post something in Talon for Thursday on your progress. So you'll be done with the fruit plate. So hopefully it'll be the montage, or if you're working ahead on the collage project, that's fine too. But we only have 2 or so more weeks of active work here, and I want to make the best of it. Um, so actually, I need to strike this collage in the moment thing. Nope, that's good. Sorry. So that takes care of that stuff. The grade issue. So there was a fruit plate project progress that I went in and changed the total number of points. I believe it was 10 before, and now it's 40. And when you do that in Talon, I'm sorry I didn't let people know I was doing this ahead of time. Whatever points you have in there will be redistributed depending on the total change. So I'm going to go back and put in your initial points that I have on file on paper for this one. That was when you turned in the sketch from way long ago. And then I'm going to be adding about 3 to 5 points for each of your progresses on the fruit plate. So if you've been able to present or show that you've been making progress, I'm going to be adding that in there towards the 40-point total. And then that'll change your grade to reflect the correct number of points for that letter grade. So I've changed it from 10 points to 40 points, and Talon basically changed the math because of that. So you haven't done anything wrong. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, good. Yeah, especially I think I try to comment, even if it's just like great job or something, to let you know that you're on the right track. Or if I have questions, I try to put them in there. I know that I'm behind on some of the grading, so I'm going to try to get back on track next week. But as you know, everything's piling up, so I'm just going to do the best I can. I want you to do the best that you can. Uh, so basically, yeah, this will take care of this. And then when you do the final presentation, we're not going to use any of the slides or PowerPoints or whatever that I had initially planned. So I'm just going to use that fruit plate presentation assignment for your final grade for the project as of that part of it. So there's sort of two separate grade components, the progress one of 40 points, and then I'm still weighing how many points for the final. It'll probably be about 20-ish for a total of about 60, because I want you to put in as much effort as you can given the circumstances. And some of you have done a remarkable job, and that's great. And for some people, this project isn't their this isn't their project. It just everyone's different. Everyone has different skills and experiences, and some projects are going to resonate better or be easier, or something comes up in your life and just throws things off. So I don't want you to feel too overwhelmed. I want you to just do the best that you can. And if we need to make alternative arrangements, please contact me as soon as possible, and we will adjust accordingly. So that's what I have on my announcements, I believe. I want to make sure if there are any questions or comments from anyone at this point, please let me know either here or in email. I will be, near my computer most of the time when we're not online together. So I just want to reassure you that I'm here if something comes up or whatever. If you need to leave early, just send me a note so I can adjust that. But basically, I look forward to seeing you all back here in about an hour at 3:45. So thank you very much for being here, and we'll talk again soon. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. And we're going to go ahead and go through and talk with those of you who would like to get some more feedback on any of your work. So I'm just going to kind of go through the list, and we'll see how that goes. Uh, Nathan,
Yes.
all right, what would you like to share?
I will share my fruit plate.
Okay. Your plate itself is pretty close. I kind of feel like maybe you went a little bit too far with the strawberries and darkening them. But they definitely, it's still hard to read the individual strawberry next to each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And then
Unique.
it looks to me like the plates, muffin and glass, are not exactly on the same plane, elevation plane, as the table quite yet. And then I would have, I wish I could like draw on the screen. I would have like a thin, darker shadow at the base of the glass in the muffin.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So see if you can get that. I think the background itself is fine. I just don't think that they quite feel like I feel like the plate, glass, and muffin are kind of tipping towards me, the viewer.
hmm
Yeah. So see if you can resolve that. All right. Would anything else, Nathan?
No, that'd be it.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. Ash, do you have anything that you'd like to share today? She's in the living room. I'm gonna, Ash, I'm gonna give you time to prepare since you just got back in. Nadine, do you have anything that you'd like to share today?
Yes.
Okay, go for it. Overall, your arrangement's still pretty good. I still feel like the shadows, like right under the objects, like under the glass, um, still doesn't quite look correct. It looks kind of like blurry white instead of an actual shadow. So I really strongly recommend having a glass with some dark liquid in it so you're not seeing through it and seeing and putting that on a surface with a similar sort of lighting and looking to see where the darks and lights are. Um, and then you'd also have, and you can see it over the blue grapes, you got some nice shadow shapes. I think that's looking good. On the other side with the green grapes, um, I don't feel like there's quite enough of that shadow shape of the grape itself hanging out over there. So just some like minor things, but our eyes and our minds are so used to seeing these shapes that that's why it, pulls you out of the composition sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
My montage.
Sure. Oh my goodness. Ah, so you've got your golden spiral in there. Awesome. So the point of these tools is for you to get more experience with using them. And so one of the advantages of using something like the golden spiral is that it sort of, no matter if you squeeze it or lengthen it or anything like that, it forces you to sort of choose a focal point, right? So that innermost area where it's sort of spiraled up the most, the curl, that's usually where you're going to put a focal point image. So you're probably going to want to have either like the design concepts of proximity or hierarchy. You're probably going to want to make that area, if you use this tool, have something specific visually about the arrangement that is stronger, either with more of your images kind of clustered together through proximity or sizing or something else. You can do the reverse too, where there's hardly anything there. But the spiral kind of forces you to have more things sort of like focused in on that area. That's kind of the point of that. Um, so I don't quite feel that in the images. I do think the sign with the name on it is great. I think that um, the word farm right below it feels a little bit odd because it's kind of out of place next to that. I think it's like metal pieces that make the name. So you may or may not want to think about, is there a better way to have the word farm up there so it either matches or contrasts a little bit stronger. Let's see. Some of the images you might want to consider, and I know that you're still working on this, having different sizes for them for emphasis. So if you have every image be approximately the same sort of volume in terms of width or area, I guess it would be, it kind of doesn't give any emphasis to them. So think about where are the like sort of moments in the pictures that you use that you really want to emphasize, as well as how does the arrangement itself tell a story. So you've got some great photos here. I just think that if you just work on emphasizing some of them into the story about your family farm, like when we did the ad, we had a primary large, secondary, and then tertiary was the smallest. Those were in terms of size, but placement on your canvas also can make a difference for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that a yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions about any of this, I can go over it some more too. All right. Let's see. Augusto, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I could share something, but I don't necessarily have something.
You mean you haven't progressed, or is
Well, I
that
have, just not like as a progress, but just,
is, yeah,
not that much.
okay. Well, what is this your fruit plate that you're talking about
Uh,
or montage?
the fruit plate is almost done. The montage is rough.
Okay. Well, why don't you share one of those two things?
Okay.
And then Ash, we're gonna have you go next if you have something you'd like to present. Oh yeah, you got your background.
Yeah.
You got
So I
floating
just got
trees.
that in. I literally just got that in, and I'm in the process of resizing so it looks
Sure,
less goofy.
sure. No, that's fine. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's gonna look like you have a giant tea set in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like your table, this is going to be an additional challenge maybe for you, because I feel like the way that this was shot, the upper left edge of the table is at a slant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not parallel to the frame of your image. So that's going to create an additional challenge for you to make that kind of fit in at an odd angle. So you might want to consider how much work you want to put into with this background. But I think your plate overall, once you get it set and the shadows in place, is going to look good. Your transparency in the back of your glass is perhaps too clear. So you'll have to adjust that again with depending on your background. But overall, well done.
Yeah, it's also in a very bad
Yeah.
positioning right now.
It's like it's floating, magic juice.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Ash, are you able to present something? Do you have something you'd like to share?
Yeah, in a minute.
Okay. Do you want us to get someone else up here or?
Yeah.
Okay. Bree, do you have something you'd like to share?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go for it. Did you change this from last time?
I changed the shadows a little bit. I lightened them up and then added one to like under the glass and moved the plate a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. So I feel like you're getting very close. So I feel like the shadow, especially in the muffin, like will sometimes cast sort of this other reflection on the surface too. I feel like the muffin doesn't quite look realistic yet. You're very close. So maybe you make the width of the shadow a little bit smaller and a little bit darker with a little bit of that gradient. And again, this is just through trial and error, and that's why we're doing this. Overall, I think it's pretty good. I still think if you could bring your table with everything in a little bit so it doesn't fill up as much space. I don't know if your table image gets cut off at the left and right side or not, but I think it would be great if we could have a little bit more space around the top and around each side. Does that seem possible?
Like make it smaller.
So what I'm saying is, would you would you be able to bring either extend your canvas further out so there's more white space, more margin, or bring your image in more so there's more space?
Okay.
So one or the other, as long as you don't, and you're only at 11 by 17. So if you just even make your canvas size, I just don't know if your image is cut off on the sides, in which case, if you did that, you'd have to paint in those
Yeah, it
sides.
is.
Yeah. So I still think that your composition would be stronger if the glass, like, if the glass especially wasn't sort of like in that corner, it feels kind of dead. So if you could bring like the juice, the muffin, and your plate even smaller in, that might give you a little bit more breathing room around that space.
Okay.
Yep. But otherwise, it's looking good. Anything else, Bree?
Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay. Then we will move on. Kaylor, are you there?
Yeah.
All right.
It's been a little while.
That's okay. I just every time I see your car, I think of Knight Rider. Like the car is going to start talking. All right. Oh my goodness, this is dramatic.
Yeah, I went for more of a cinematic kind of feel.
So this is so you've changed. I feel like you've changed your lighting significant with this direction,
Oh yeah.
and yeah. So I feel like your shadows are pretty strong. They're probably going to be a little bit more faded out near the end part of it, but given that lighting, they're going to be fairly strong throughout. Um, the orange slice doesn't quite feel like it's resting on the table. Like there's
Yeah, I got to fix that one.
yeah, the other orange does kind of feel like it. And you've done a clever thing where you've hidden the orange within the shadow of the glass. You don't have to necessarily, if it's smaller than the glass, you don't have to cast a shadow because it's absorbed into the glass shadow. Um, and then the lighting off of your other plate is very good too. You added chocolate in there.
Mhm.
And so you've really been able to work with some of those shapes to like that. Those blue grapes are just such a pain. I think Livia's been the most successful with working with those so far. But you've done a great job. I think something doesn't, I think it's the kiwi. And you've done a great job here. I think it's the kiwi closest to the chocolate, like the edge that's sort of near us, near that sliced kiwi. Something to my eye doesn't quite look right, but it's fairly close.
I'll have to play with it more.
Yeah, but your strawberries, um, was it Nathan who had the strawberries that still blended in, I think? I think you did a good job sort of making them look like individual strawberries with the shadows. And you're more than welcome to talk to each other again and say, so how did you do that? Can you show me your layer or whatever? So yeah, the one thing that I think if I was to crop this image and it's just purely an aesthetic thing, I think that I like the length of the table. I don't know what it would look like if you ended the picture at the end of the table. Like the way that you have it defines the edge. So I think that's fine. But I
I
think
could
it's,
test it out.
yeah, I don't know. It might, again, might make it too close. I want you to keep some of that space around it so you can feel, yeah. It might feel too boxed in now with just those edges on the side. Yeah, I think I would probably go back. And maybe there's like a middle ground too. I don't know. But I think the focal point of this is a nice diagonal line between the plate and the glass. And then you have that, I can't point on here, but that black shadow that's about 2/3 the way up, that bar, kind
With
of,
this one.
yeah, that kind of brings your eye in line with the glass, like a T. So things like that, where you're basically making a grid without realizing it sometimes.
Yeah,
So
this was just meant to be like a kickboard on a wall.
yeah, exactly. But it's still part of your composition. So like you have the lines in the table in the wood, and then you have that line which is perpendicular. And so those elements play a role in your composition. And I think that the background outside the table, that there's no decoration or real design in it, really helps to support what you are presenting here. So the only other thing that if this was like something you hang on the wall, the plate that's nearest us might be too close to the edge. I'm not suggesting that you move it because it also does bring it closer to the viewer, makes it more intimate in that space. So yeah, overall, really, really interesting design choices.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, let's move on. All right. Rachel, are you here?
Yep.
All right, feel free to share what you got. You're getting close. What did you change?
So I softened the orange juice
Uh-huh.
shadow, added some shadows down here for the bananas,
Yeah,
and then added the reflection and some shadowing down
yeah,
here.
that's looking good. I still feel the banana that's sticking out near the red apple.
This one.
Nope, the
This
other
one.
one. Yep. I still feel like there might be a little bit more a shadow that's kind of like off the plate. I think that what you're doing, especially the one above that, is really good. And your other shadows are looking really nice too. The other area that might be an issue is the green grapes touching the green apples because the green color is so close.
Mm.
Yeah, especially near the strawberry. If you could put a little bit of shadow in there, I think that'll help to differentiate those two shapes more.
Okay.
Yeah, but overall, I think it's coming together very nicely. You have like a clean sort of gradient color behind the glass, so you don't have to worry about the texture as much. Um, could you zoom out for a moment? Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going blind or what, but I kind of still feel like the glass is not quite leaning towards us as much as it should. Maybe it's just my eyes, but I still feel like the angle of the table and the angle of everything else, like the plate and the muffin glass, are not quite on the same plane. but
Okay.
you're doing a really good job in everything else. So I don't want you to kill yourself over that. And I see so many of these plates every year. So sometimes it's like my eyes just get cross-eyed looking at this. But I think you're doing a great job. The shadows and reflections are coming along. And another thing, when people put, like we discussed with the grape and the green apple, those blue grapes in the plate, sometimes we'll need to add a little bit more shadow or differentiation and reflection to help those two colors also move away from each other. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Mitchell, are you here?
Yes, I am.
All right. Let's see what you got.
I haven't made much progress on the fruit plate,
Mhm.
but I started working on the collage.
Let's see. I should have Oh, there you go. Yep. That's the sort of thing we want. We want to have clearance or white space around your entire head, if possible. And then you can blend in the bottom of your bust and the back if you want. But I do want that nice clearance. And so there might be areas in this that sort of fade in and out between the white. And if you were to reverse this to black, the same thing might happen too. The one main reason that I decided to do this in white initially was to save ink. And also, when you print, it's really hard to get print to go all the way to the edge on the paper because the printer has to hold on to it, and that's why we do the bleeds and everything. So it's a really fresh sort of appearance here with a lot of the like water colors and shapes and things. So I want you to really explore, like, you're basically a self-portrait with images that you and your classmates have provided. So I'm not going to ask you much about this right now because I want to get to a point where most of the class is ready to talk about this. But I'm really enjoying to see what you've done on this, Mitchell. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Galena, is there anything that you'd like to share with us?
I don't have anything to share right now.
Okay, that's fine. I'm glad you're here. Okay. Let me go through my list. Keaton, are you there? Is your mic not working again? So I don't see you typing or anything. So, oh, you're here. Okay. Go ahead and pull up something that you like to share. Unless you haven't made any progress with anything, in which case we'll just move on. The collage? Would you like to share that with us? Good. Yep. Yeah, so as you continue to work on these, you're going to need to use at least 12 of the images. You're not to use any outside images, just from the ones that were supplied. Occasionally you'll find a duplicate because, in some of these themes you go out and you do Google search or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's the one. And I've seen a number of students choose the same ones. But I think your silhouette is looking really good. And yeah, I think your placement's starting to shape up. Thanks for sharing, Keaton. Omar, are you here still?
Yes, I am.
All right. Is there anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah.
Have you changed your football player that you're going to focus on, or is he still the best?
Um, I will going to present my collage. So
Okay.
just a second.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So, what you're going to want to do eventually is to move this shape down so that you do have that bleed effect on at least one side. So you're going to move the whole head and everything down to the bottom of the page.
Okay.
And if you were to set a bleed, you would actually extend that 0.125 inches off of the page just to make sure.
Okay.
And given that you're leaning kind of forward, I would probably also suggest that you move it back a little bit so we get more of your face. Yeah, and then back towards the back of the page. Yeah, and you don't you don't have to do this right now. I don't want you to ruin the work. But I find that and you have individual shapes, which in my opinion is you can get some more finer effects to do, but I would suggest doing the whole silhouette shape to make it easier, but you know, you're the artist here. But it's looking really well. Good job.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Haley,
Yeah, I have my montage.
excellent. Let's see it.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. What have you changed since last you shared this with us?
So I got this mountain in there, and then
Uh-huh.
I changed the angles of the other two
Uh-huh.
mountains in the background.
So let me get this straight. You are making your own mountain chain?
Yeah, so it's different mountains from
Yeah.
different parts of Europe. So these ones are from different parts of France, and then this one on the side is from Ireland. And then I
Oh.
can't remember where the body of water is from.
Well, like this, the Swiss Alps go through what, like several countries?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Ireland, yeah, that's cool. So I think it's going to be interesting because I'm not a native traveler of Europe and places like that. How are you going to showcase which is what will be very
Okay.
telling, because I think, you know, and this is your montage, and you're going to have your theme word in there somewhere, or words, so
Yeah.
wherever that's going to be. So I think it's going to be interesting that how you show us which mountain belongs to what part of the world, whether that's a
Okay.
label or I don't know. I almost feel like you're kind of going to be doing the opposite of the fruit plate, where you're separating things out. But you know, I could be totally wrong. Like, just depends. Like, if this is all like a whirlwind trip of mountains blending together. So,
Okay.
I'm totally fine with people if they want to do like a surrealist take on this, right? So as long as it makes sense within the context of the assignment, where this is a montage of related ideas that you're displaying
Yeah.
through visual, I'm fine if it doesn't like make sense in a way.
Yeah.
Like if parts of your mountains were upside down or whatever,
Mhm.
just as long as it, you know, meets those goals. Otherwise, yeah, nice scenery. Thank you.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. Livia? Hi. Do you have anything that you'd like to share today?
Yeah, I got farther on my fruit plate and my montage.
Oh, cool. Yeah, pull them both up if you want. Whoa. I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Oh, that was a tractor.
Oh, you have the masking on.
Yeah.
That is a really close-up picture. I have a friend that collects all of the John Deere tractors.
Okay, it's not letting me pick my other file, so I'm gonna
That's
like
fine.
back out.
Yeah, we'll just do one at a time then, or whatever.
Okay, I realized it was because I was still in quick mount mode, but
Okay.
yeah. I feel like the muffin and the cup look like they're floating, but I'm not exactly sure what I should do with the shadows.
So, yeah. So, do you have a counter like this at home?
I mean, I have a counter.
So when you put a shape that, you know, kind of like a cone shape, both the muffin and the glass are kind of like a cone shape. When you put that on the surface, what, you know, and I don't care if you photograph this or draw it or whatever, but look at the shadow shape, right, of the edge of those two objects touching. So you've got that kind of going on with your fruit and things, and that's what we want you to do with the surface of the background, the table, is look, and it should be a it may not be absolute black, especially depending on the lighting, but it should be a fairly dark sort of surface contact shadow. And then in your case, the reflection shadows are going to be lighter. And I think that your reflection shadows are pretty good. They might be a little bit too soft for the muffin, but it could be right. Your blue grapes are pretty strong. Your banana is pretty strong. So maybe either pull back a little bit on those or increase a little bit more on your juice and your muffin. It's hard to see
Okay.
exactly. And then I think maybe add a little bit more shadowing here and there on the under the green grapes where they interact with some of the other objects. But your kiwi look fuzzy. Like overall, your composition is pretty darn good. I would say that if I had control over the background image, I would want to see more of it because I can just see the hints of what I think is a refrigerator in the upper left-hand corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm lacking a little bit of context. My assumption this is the kitchen. So without a little bit more information, I think Keaton may have had a really good kitchen. It was obvious what it was, but I
Yeah.
think, yeah, but I think that the overall, like, think that they're on the right plane. It's just that they don't feel like they're touching exactly where they should be on that surface.
Okay.
Yeah. And then maybe also consider a thin, darker band of shadow under the plate on the lower, like towards us and a little bit off, like in the direction of your shadows. That, because you have that fading one, the gradient shadow. Maybe add like a little bit stronger black shadow. Again, I wish I could draw these directly to show you. But yeah, good job.
Thanks. Oh.
Yeah.
I
And then
also
the
have,
other one. Yeah.
I just like masked a lot of things. I haven't like placed anything
Yeah.
where I want to get them.
Yeah. So I strongly recommend working with your theme word. It doesn't have to be done, but get it positioned in there as if you would cut it out of a newspaper or magazine. We're looking for placement, right? So, and again, once you do the part with the rule of thirds and or golden spiral, you can use that as a guide to help you line things up in a way that's, traditionally very aesthetically pleasing to our eyes. And then once you've got that figured out, once you know the rules of design and you're comfortable with them, you can break them to create tension, to create a certain mood. But I want you to be comfortable using those tools in your compositions, at least initially. So I feel like, yeah, I'm similar way to like dump the kitchen sink and everything on a page. And then I slowly start to remove things and say, no, this isn't going to work. So I think that's what you're going to do. You're going to figure out what the theme is, which things work best at which angles, and eventually your composition, especially with that theme word in there, will kind of figure itself out eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think great. Yeah, you got a lot of great objects in there. It's very ambitious, and I'm looking forward to seeing the final result.
Thanks.
Good. Is there Olivia? I almost forgot Olivia. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, my montage.
Okay, let's see it.
So I changed the background in it
Mhm.
to a different scene in the movie because I feel like it just makes the images pop more.
Yeah, it's really easier to see the stuff. And we
Yeah.
still get, like, to me, this creates like energy and movement. And
Mhm.
the web creates sort of a structure, but also when I think of webs, like things are held in position by a web. That's what it does.
Right.
So yeah, I think this is a great direction to go. And depending on where you put some of your drawings, you may have to adjust blend modes or figure out a stronger way for them to pop. But I think this is coming along very nicely. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, and again, everyone, put your theme word in there so you're not saving it to the very last day when I'm like, where's your theme word? And you have to scramble to make it look good. So please get that in there as soon as possible. But yeah, great job, everyone. Is there anyone else that I have overlooked? Did everyone present who was able to? Okay. So basically, work on the fruit plate, make that your number one, make the montage number two, and then the collage number three. So Tuesday, we're still planning to meet to present primarily in the fruit plate. And then Thursday, I believe I'm going out of town. And so you'll just need to work on your own and upload your progress. And then the following week, I think is our last full week. And I think we're going to have some stuff due. So We still have a little bit of window if we need to adjust some things a little bit, but I want to make sure that we use that when we best need it. I do want to provide a review for the final, so I don't want to lose sight of that. But I think you're all going to do great. Your selections are improving, your compositions are improving, you're using your images with more intention, which is awesome. So I want you to be very confident in being able to tell someone, whether or not they agree with you, this is why I use this image in this way. Okay, that's the main benefit from taking this class, is understanding that sort of critical thinking, as well as learning how to use Photoshop to make those changes. Any questions, any comments, okay. Well, I hope you all stay safe and healthy, and we'll meet back next Tuesday. Thank you very much. Take care.